I'd never mentioned that there were men as dark as this. Wow, look at that nose. He's just like a pig. He's a monster! Hut!
So, in today's episode, I'm joined by Explorer Nick, who is a blogger that covers his encounters with Asian women in Asia. First off, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Yeah. And I say your name like Raphael.
Yeah, you could say Raphael, Angel Dodger, it's fine.
Okay, cool. Angel Dodger. Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
So you've had some controversy surrounding you lately, particularly in Taiwan, and I want to get to that, but first I want to ask you, since you're white and not Asian, what made you decide to fly to Asia?
So just the original story of why I went to Asia was I went to Japan to do martial arts training when I was like 19, and I loved it. And I loved the culture, I loved the food, I loved just the buzz, just the difference to England. It's so different. And also, I had a few English girlfriends, and I was seeing like English girls in college and stuff, but I just liked like Japanese girls, to be honest, at the time. So I was like dating a couple of Japanese girls, and after like a year, I decided to go to Japan for study abroad. So it made sense to go back to Japan so I could train and learn the language. And then I started dating Japanese girls, and I like Japanese girls, so jumping straight into that.
Makes sense. And you're also affiliated with David Bond, who I've interviewed. And I'm just wondering, like, how did you like meet up with him and started working with him? Because I know he does something similar to you, which is document his experiences.
So I first heard about David Barr when I was out living in Japan, and I was like, wow, this guy seems cool. Everyone's hating on him, but he's just, filming his experiences, just filming his pickup. So what, it's not that big of a deal. And I met him once in Tokyo, but it was so brief, and it was just like a, hey, what's up? And he had to go. And then I hung out with Alex, the tall blonde guy from some of his earlier videos. And after a couple more years, or 2 or 3 more years, so like 2016, I was going to go to Thailand. And I actually saw the Nexstar article about how David manipulated the Asian media for profit. And I was like, okay, so that's something that I wouldn't mind doing, because I always wanted to make videos doing pickup in Japan, but I just never did it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing this. So I made like one video, and David actually found my channel and found the video, messaged me and was like, do more. So when I came to Thailand, I started doing a little bit more, and then eventually I met up with David in Thailand, and then we hung out for a few months, went to Japan, and then this trip, me and David hung out a lot more, and he just helped me, sort of mentor me to grow my channel and stuff.
Okay. And I mean, you mentioned previously that like you have a preference now, but like, is there for Asian women? But is there like a particular reason? Just going more in depth, is it like the look or the personality? Like, what is it about Asian women?
I don't know, because it's so weird, but like I was in America for a month recently, and since America, I was like so big on white women, black women, Latina women, and I was like, oh my God, I love Western women. And I remember going back to England, and back in England there wasn't really many hot Asian girls. It was like mostly British girls or European girls or whatever that were actually really hot to me at the time. So I was like not interested in Asian girls at all. But then before then, and again now, I'm like back into Asian girls more. And the reason I think is partly just because it's where you are. Like when I was in America and England, I saw more hot like white chicks, black chicks, and I feel like because I was surrounded by hot chicks from those races, I was more interested in them. Whereas being in Asia, there's more hot Asian chicks, obviously, and they're the white chicks here, for example, are not that hot. Like I don't really see black chicks here that much. So I feel like for location, that kind of influences your taste a little bit. But to be honest, I don't know. I just feel like they're more feminine more often. They're a little bit more gentle. And their energy, I just like their energy more. They're easy to be with, and very chill, and I feel like that kind of traditional gender role is kind of there. In the West, someone might say, "Oh, you're being chauvinistic or something." It's not like I'm expecting a girl to clean my room or do something for me. I don't really care about that. But it's just like that energy, that slightly submissiveness. And I feel like that's something that's normal for Asia. So in the West, even maybe my parents would say, "Oh, you're chauvinistic thinking like that." Well, the reality is that's Asian culture, and I just like that. But I find them hot. I don't know. I find like Korean girls really hot. The exoticness, the look of their face, the body shape, the fact they're very skinny. I mean, I like them. It's like, why do you like strawberry ice cream, chocolate ice cream, mint choc chip? It's like, why do you like mint choc chip so much? If you do, I don't know. I just like it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, I like, for example, the straight long hair with the bangs, which Asian women have.
Sure.
So that's one of the reasons why I like them. So I can understand sometimes it's just a physical preference. Can you give me some examples of the techniques that you use to hit on Asian women, like what works for you?
Yeah, just being direct is one of the most valuable things. So people think it's cheesy, it's corny. Oh, you just called her cute. Oh, awkward. Oh my God. It's like, actually that kind of works because you're not bullshitting. Like a lot of guys would just be like, "Oh, hey, so do you know where there's a Starbucks?" Or, "Hey, I like this party, and where do you go to college?" And then just fluff. Whereas if I just tell her I like her, it's very clear to the girl that she's a girl, I'm a guy, and that I want something romantic to happen. It just cuts out the bullshit, and yeah, being direct shows confidence, and I feel like it kind of helps me to screen for girls that are more like willing to meet a guy that night or whenever, or on that date they want to meet up with someone romantically. So it just kind of screens for that too. So I'd say just being direct and being confident and being fun or funny. Yeah, those things matter.
Okay. I asked because some people say that like you do like pickup artist things where you put like a hand on somebody with a woman and see how big it is, like to create a connection. I'm wondering if pickup artist techniques have worked for you.
Sure. Well, I mean, yeah, I do that. I mean, I kind of have. No, I think everyone who does kind of like pickup, they kind of have like a little bit of a routine, like go to this ramen shop near where they live, take the same girl there, or not the same girl, a different girl there on a different date, kind of do the same routine, kind of the same thing. But yeah, so something like that I do, like, oh look, your hand is so small. The girls like that, like, they kind of feel, I don't know, I feel like they like that. They like the touch, and they like to feel small and girl-like, and for them to think, oh, this guy's a big strong guy or something like that, maybe. Mm-hmm. But yeah, pretty much something like that, like light touching, or I won't touch them. Like I don't touch the girl necessarily, but because I know that a lot of girls they might want to hook up, but they just don't like a guy touching them too much. They just feel like it's too needy or something. So instead, what you can do is you can just sit next to them on the bed or on the sofa or whatever, and just kind of like have your leg touch their leg, and just be kind of like, have you ever seen that BuzzFeed video? It's called man spreading or whatever. Like have your legs open wide kind of thing. You can just do that. Have your legs kind of open wide or whatever, and just have your right knee touching their left knee, and maybe have your shoulders touching, and you kind of like looking at something on a phone and leaning in. And I noticed a lot of girls in somewhere like Thailand, girls are a little bit more free and expressive and less like reserved, like somewhere like Korea. Mm-hmm. Their face might touch yours, and if our faces are touching, it's kind of like a good sign, They're very comfortable.
Okay.
And then what kiss? It's just a kiss. So.
And it's easier because I guess if you were in the West and you did that, you might get like a Me Too response.
I guess.
Me too.
Hashtag me too. Yeah, maybe, but then.
I don't think so.
But-
Look at Austin Summer stuff.
Yeah, you say that. I mean, it depends. If you got some really big SJW chick, maybe. But honestly, like, God, I mean, I hooked up with. I'll be honest, like one girl, because I was so busy with the work I was doing in America. Well, I wasn't working in America, but I was helping to assist someone with their traveling. So I was just basically like very busy and kind of doing some extra projects and stuff. Over the summer while I was there, so I was kind of busy, but I didn't really gain much in America. I just kind of experienced travel there. But there was one girl from San Diego who's an Asian girl, and she was like born and raised in America. She was super hot, but yeah, I mean it was so like straightforward. We just met on the street, and she was with her classmates, and they were just white American girls and two girls, and then we went for pho. And then when we were in pho, we started holding hands and like, like if a girl's really into you, she'll start like playing with your hand and squeezing your hand. And usually if a girl's like that and she's like mad squeezing your hand, to be honest, there's a lot of sexual tension. She probably is horny if she's squeezing your hand and stroking your hand a lot. And that was America. So, I feel like, yeah, it would be fine in America.
I'll move on to a slightly different subject.
Sure.
So you were in Taiwan, where a lot of the things that you've done recently have happened. Asian countries such as Taiwan, like they'll have a reputation of preferring lighter skin over darker skin. So, like there's a story in Next Shark that has a Taiwanese school saying, "Oh, we don't want to hire dark-skinned teachers." Do you think as though you've been treated differently or better or worse because you're white? What do you think?
I think that there's a myth to think that being white in Asia is some great thing. It's really not. It doesn't. I think it's better to be Asian in Asia. I know a couple of guys that are Asian American or Asian Australian, and they just in terms of girls and stuff, they do way better. I mean, their quality of their girls is like usually hotter, and there's girls that would be kind of scared to date a white guy, for example. Those girls would date a guy from Australia if he's Asian. So the truth is there are a bunch of girls that do like white guys, but it's like a subset. Whereas the general populace would be more open to dating a Western Asian than a white guy, for example, and a lot of the hotter chicks as well, like and the high society chicks, which are super hot, and also just on that's like light skin, dark skin topic, it seems to be the case that a lot more dark skinned Asian girls prefer white guys, and a lot more light skinned Asian girls would go with an Asian guy or an Asian American, for example. And then coming into like job prospects, career. Just general inclusiveness in society. I think it's bad being white in Asia. I'm not saying it's like bad because obviously I'm still having a good time. I'm still fitting into places and meeting people. But in terms of like Japan, for example, I imagine Taiwan's pretty similar. If you want to get like a job that's outside of English teaching or whatever, I mean, your options are limited to like maybe a recruiter where you can just use English. You're a consultant hiring for multinationals that use English as their business language. So that's one thing. But other than that, maybe some IT work. But outside of that, there's not much you can do. Certainly for Japan, I was a recruiter there before. You can't get a job even if you have great Japanese because they're just going to hire the Japanese guy. They want a Japanese guy. Literally, I had companies say, "Why do you want a Japanese guy, not a foreigner?" Because we want it for harmony. We want it to be a Japanese office. We don't want foreigners. We want foreign customers, or we want foreign board members to come over from France for Longchamp or whatever. But we don't want people from the like in the teams in the finance department being from a different country. We want them to be native level speakers. We want them to be Asian. We want them to they respect Japanese culture because they are Japanese. we want them to be, and I feel like that would be the case in somewhere like China or Taiwan, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then for getting included in society, it's a little hard, especially if there's xenophobia. There's always a cultural gap and stuff. But so that's my take on it. I think there's pros and cons for sure. I think it's in some ways, yeah, like some people like white guys or whatever, or white people, but I wouldn't say it's like as big as as good as a lot of people would say. Oh, it's because you're white, or because you're white you get these privileges in Asia. Which is not really the case, I think, in Asia.
Going a little bit deeper into like the dating part, if you do see Black and Hispanic men in Asia, or just in general, like how do you think that Asian women would view like Black and Hispanic men as romantic partners in Asia?
How do I think they get viewed? I mean, I don't know enough guys like
Yeah,
enough.
Andreas, he's Indian, right?
Okay, sure. Okay, so that's true.
Andreas crushes it.
Okay, so there's this one guy I know called Andreas, or Social Synapse, and he is I think his dad's from Bolivia, but he could pass for Indian, right? But he's American. He's from Oregon. His dad's from Bolivia. His mom's American, and he's a good looking guy. That's one thing, but you know, he absolutely kills it because he's got really good game, and he kills it in Japan. And Japan is quite a xenophobic, racist place, and he would always say to me, "Oh, it's easier because you're white." But to be honest, in Japan at least, he definitely has a million times better game with Japanese girls because they're quite unique set of skills needed to game those girls. But anyway, he just does so much better than most white guys, and yeah, he gets like a lot, very consistently, and with really hot girls. And one thing he does say though is that with Tinder he finds it hard. So he finds he thinks it's his race or the color of his skin that makes it hard on Tinder, for example, in Asia. Mm-hmm. But he says the moment he can speak or open his mouth, that's how he'll win the girl over. Or in person, you know, his charm can kind of come off better, and that way he can win them over. So I feel like maybe it's partly due to the race thing on Tinder, maybe, but when it comes to in person, that doesn't exist, at least for him. I think you know, it's you got to have good game, whatever race you are. And then I know some guys that in Japan that do have a hard time, but I feel like that's their game. But then I know like a couple of black guys as well that get really hot girls in Japan, for example. And one thing I noticed is in Japan there's like a subset of girls that really like black guys, and they don't like white guys at all, and they have like Latino guys or black guys, but usually black guys. But their girls dress kind of like Nicki Minaj or a little bit Jennifer Lopez, like Latino style. They have like the big hooped earrings. They usually have good bodies for Japanese girls. They have better bodies than the average Japanese girl. They like work out. They got big asses. They dress like usually they like to go to hip hop clubs, so they dress like that. You know, like they might wear a hat or something. Have the big hoop earrings. But they're super hot. Like I think they're some of the hottest Japanese girls ever. And they usually they tan their skin, whereas most Japanese girls want to look more white. I just think they look so hot, but I've never been able to game those girls. But if you're black and you have game, like for sure you can get with those girls, and they're probably, in my opinion, the hottest Japanese girls, for example. So.
Are those the girls that wear like a lot of makeup on their eyelids, stuff like that? I might have heard of them. Like they have the big wigs, something like that. Yeah, I think I might have heard of those Japanese.
Well,
girls.
you've got Gyaru that like they're gold colored hair. I would say they're different. That's like a different subset. That's kind of died out now. You don't see as many. But those type of girls, the Gyaru girls, they typically will only go for Japanese guys. So it's rare that they would go for any foreigner. Usually, it can be done, but it's hard with those girls.
Okay. I'll move on to a different, I guess the last subject of my questioning, but there's a couple of questions I have. And it's about the controversies. Now, you've caused some controversy in Asia
Yeah.
by filming Asian women who say that you filmed them without permission. So, like, there's a Thai woman named Sky, I think, who came forward to say that. And, yeah, so you know. And you also created a website called TaiwanGirlsEasy.com. Yeah. Yeah, I know you know that. So, my question is, have you filmed Asian women without their permission, and why did you create a website with that title?
Well, the first thing is, yeah, I'm filming my life. I'm filming my travel. I'm filming my pickup. And the thing is, my GoPro is on my chest or on my head. It's clearly visible. And yeah, I usually tell girls I'm filming. I don't always allude to what I'm doing. I just say I'm filming, just for travel, for memories, and that's pretty much it. And then yeah, the stuff I film and put on YouTube is what you can see. It's usually an approach or maybe a little bit of a date, but usually it's just approach footage, at least for now. And then behind the paywall, there's my extended videos, which are literally just full versions of approaches or full versions of approaches and dates or full versions of just me hanging out with the girl. And it's essentially just talking. There's nothing that bad in there that would make the... So like if the girl was in public or the girl was with me and there was friends or strangers around, she wouldn't be doing something that she's not uncomfortable with on camera. So there's nothing like crazy in those videos at all. There's nothing even that would be considered sexy at all. It's just extended dates, and that therefore, you know, if a girl messages me though, you know, and like it's someone I'm intimate with or something, then you know, I'll take videos down or whatever. So that's pretty much it. And then, what was your second question?
Why did you create a website with the title TaiwanGirlsEasy.com?
Okay, so I created that title because there was a Twitch streamer called CJ Ride, and he's quite famous in Taiwan. Well, he's very famous actually, because he's all over the news always. And he got blasted by the Taiwan media initially for littering, like some food in a bush. And he also got blasted because he films a lot of beautiful Taiwanese girls in his streams and goes shopping with them, does pool parties, that type of stuff. And then he had one video which showed a hot Taiwanese girl in a hot tub with him and his friends, and all the commenters, the people commenting, started posting this frog picture, which the letters easy is the letters that are required to create this emoji on Twitch. And the media basically made out that he'd said that the girls are easy when he never alluded to the fact that they're easy or anything like that. And therefore, anything that ever happens with a white guy basically, and like a Taiwanese girl, the media just likes to make out that white guys think they're easy. So I thought, well, I'll just give them what they want, rather than them like just allude to the fact that I think they're easy because I'm making these videos. I'll just literally call the website Taiwan Girls Easy. So yeah, just to trigger and yeah, more exposure, and it's a good keyword.
So tell them that I have an 8-part series of us exposing everything on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, like I'll just mention again, David has an 8-part series exposing all of this on his YouTube channel, David Bond, and you can see everything behind the scenes, basically, of why we chose this, why we did this.
Okay.
You know.
I can put the link in the description.
Yeah.
And a couple more questions. So there is a blogger, I don't know if you know of her, but she writes on You Offend Me, You Offend My Family, Erin Chu. she usually takes the side of Asian women being harassed and never really acknowledges that Asian women can prefer white men. So she's pretty one-sided, but she's like pretty pissed about what's going on, at least what you're doing. What do you have to say about, and she says basically that you're harassing Asian women in Asia. What do you have to say to like those allegations and those people who think that you're just going out there harassing Asian women?
Well, firstly, I'd say like, what do they mean by harassment? You know, like, can they define that? And then, on what area am I harassing? Like, so I would say like, where is the harassment? Like, is it on the date? Is it when I'm approaching girls? Like, what are they talking about? You know, I don't really understand their statement or whatever. But yeah, I mean, if they're talking about talking to girls, like, in the street, like, pickup, God, this is like, even if I wasn't filming it and I was just telling the average Joe or someone that's quite social justice leaning or feminist, oh, I did this today, I went and approached these girls today, or they were with me and they saw me just walk off and talk to a random girl, they'd be like, oh, you're harassing, you're wasting her time, you're making her feel uncomfortable, you're encroaching on Asian politeness, but the truth is, like, that's not the reality. Like, most people think that's what the reality is. Like, oh, if you just talk to a random girl and you're not asking her, like, where's the Starbucks? You're like, you shouldn't be talking to her because she's a stranger. You're kind of coming into her world when you shouldn't be. This isn't a social environment like a pub or a bar, so you don't have the, like, you shouldn't be allowed to do that. Like, it has to be only in these certain times or these certain locations. But for me, I would, I don't see it like you're harassing them, because 9 times out of 10, you're leaving the girl better off than when you found her. She's just kind of going about her day. She's like, she's just going shopping, or she's walking to work, or she's just, I don't know, she's just out and about on her day. And you approach her, and you compliment her, and you make her feel like wanted because, you're attracted to her and you approached her. And you make her feel a bit good about herself, if anything, even if she doesn't really like you, and you're polite or whatever, maybe funny, and that's it. And then, hey, if they're interested, which sure, why wouldn't they be? You're confident, you approach them like out of the blue, and if they like you, then that's great. And they met someone they like and they're interested in, and maybe they want to get like picked up. Maybe they want to meet a guy. They're just human. Girls, the people seem to think that it's only guys that get horny or want to do romantic or sexual stuff. Well, girls just as much. It's just that guys should approach, right? It's more common that guys would approach in a bar. So if you do it in like a cafe or something, and you get the contact details, the girl can delete you and block you if she wants. She can just ignore you. It doesn't mean she has to interact with you further, but if she wants to, then she can, and there's nothing wrong with that. And a lot of the times, these girls will meet you again and will want to engage in something romantic with you. So if you actually interview these girls, so do you feel harassed? They'd be like, no. They'd be like, well, he was weird, or oh, he was cool, or yeah, like this guy, oh, I like this guy. I met this guy. I'm sure even the ones that didn't want to do anything or didn't want to even speak, they're like, whatever, okay, who cares? Some guy like spoke to me. So I don't think it's harassment personally, but I would want to question why do they call it harassment? Why do they think that, basically?
Okay. Last controversial question.
Sure.
You also posted a video apologizing for what you did in Taiwan.
Yeah.
And you recently changed that name of the video to Shanghai List is Fake News. Do you feel as though you've done anything wrong in Taiwan? And if not, why did you make that video?
I don't feel like I did anything wrong. I feel like in Taiwan, I made some pickup videos. I made some videos documenting my travel there. So firstly, the racist stuff, the racist thumbnail, and the triggering by saying Taiwan is China. Just to clear that up, like I'm going to make a video on this for my channel anyway, but just to clear this up, personally I don't feel that way. Like I don't feel like personally I would never make a joke normally about like the Asian face and things like that, but it was done because we wanted to trigger and kind of make a point, like, and try to like get more media attention, get more social media hate, to really drive it. And it was more like a social experiment. And yeah, the Taiwan China thing, you know, personally, I'm not really against either country or anything, but I would say that I respect Taiwan as individual from China because, you know, they're different governments. Taiwan is more like America, and you know, China's communist. So I respect that, but it's something that is very like sensitive. But you know, again, at the end of the day, there's freedom of speech. It's just a joke, and it was done to trigger. I don't even feel that way personally about it. So I don't feel like I've done anything wrong. I feel like I've just done like a social experiment and triggered people, and that's it. And then in terms of me feeling like I've done wrong, I don't think I have. I think that a lot of that's fake news. I think a lot of it is made up based on what me and David planted as fake evidence and how we riled up the mob into getting angry in this way. So I don't feel like I did anything wrong. The apology video was just because, you know, CJ Ryan made an apology video. The British guy who got in trouble for throwing banana peel in a bush, he got in trouble for doing that, and then he made an apology because he felt the pressure. So we thought it would be funny to do a fake apology and then to just flip it and then start releasing videos again. And obviously it worked to a degree because, well, the Shanghaiers wrote that article, so it did work. And Taiwan News wrote an article on it too, I think. It didn't work in the way we thought it would. Like it didn't reignite the Taiwanese media, the media that writes in Chinese, but you know, it's still got a reaction. So yeah.
And I mean, clicks is what matters, I guess, these days. It's all about controversy.
Right.
What do you have to say to those who have been offended or triggered by anything that you've done? Your videos, the website, just anything that may have been offensive to some people. What do you have to say to those guys or girls?
Well, you know, like I said with the racist stuff and Taiwan is China. Firstly, that was just like a social experiment. It was a joke. Try not to take it seriously. You know, it was just a silly image. Like, you know, just like I said, like, you know, it's in South Park. It's stupid. It's just whatever. It's just a joke anyway. Even if I did think that was funny and that was a joke, like, who cares? But so I would just say, like, knowing that it's a social experiment, try not to take offense. You know, it's not a big deal. In terms of everything else, I would say if they're offended, then, you know, let them be offended. You know, I've said my views on what I've done and what I'm doing. I feel like people are too easily offended these days, and I respect freedom of speech. I respect, you know, the ability to express yourself, and I feel like people have this warped or this unrealistic view of romance and pick up and this like bad view of it. So I feel like people are going to be offended. Let them be offended. Personally, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm not going to stop or change myself just because some people feel a certain way.
And my final question is, do you have any advice for men who want to date or pick up Asian women and are struggling?
Well, firstly, if you're in a small town in America, in Nebraska, or you know, in Europe, and there's not many Asian girls there, well, how are you going to meet Asian girls? It's going to be hard. But if you are, use something like, I've never used it, but I guess use like, was it Hello Thai Cupid or something, or use Tinder. But to be honest, just travel. Go to a city where there's a high demographic of Asians. You know, try to go to parties and events like that Asians will go to, or societies in a university, for example, like a Japanese society or something. Or just go traveling. Go to somewhere like Thailand. But yeah, I mean, if you're struggling, just be confident, be direct, and yeah, try to. I don't know what to say really. In terms of any more advice, that's it. Yeah,
Practice
pretty
makes
much.
perfect.
Yeah, just approach a lot of girls. Don't be like super shy and only talk to one girl, because at the end of the day, sometimes it's a numbers game as well. So yeah, I would say approach a lot of girls until you find one that likes you, or you charm her enough, or whatever.